wanted the best? You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate it. As always, the Chris Voss Show is the family that loves you, but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as your mother-in-law, because, well, she never liked you anyway, but you'll get over it. Refer her and her family and friends to the show, and she'll just learn to appreciate you more. Maybe not, but she'll appreciate me more. See what I'm up to there? Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss, one of the TikTokity and all those crazy places on the internet that we are. And if you want to buy me a coffee, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Chris Voss. We had an amazing young man on the show today. He's going to be talking to us about how he built his company, entrepreneurism, and how to be a customer experience expert. So serve your customers better, damn it. We need more of that in today's age in life. We have Lynn Daniel on the show with us today. He's the CEO of the Daniel Group, and we're going to be talking about his insights. He started his company in 1989. His background includes management consulting, corporate planning, and product management positions. The Daniel Group helps B2B companies measure, manage, and improve customer experience. I was going to say service, but it was behind the camera there. Since 2005, the firm has helped companies such as AGCO, Navistar, Akuma, and 80% of the Caterpillar dealers create more profitable and loyal customer relationships. He's been an active volunteer serving on the boards of the NC State Alumni Association, WFAE, and the Hornet's Nest Girl Scout Council. The Hornet's Nest Girl Scout Council. Is that where I'm getting my cookies from? That may explain the Hornets bites. Anyway, Lynn is a BA in political science from North Carolina State University and an MBA from the University of Virginia. I tried to do a Hornet joke there and it fell. How are you doing? Welcome to the show, Lynn.
I'm doing great, Chris. Thank you so much.
There you go. Hornet's Nest Girl Scouts. Do I want to buy cookies from those folks?
Well, that goes back to the Hornet's Nest Girl Scout Council is headquartered in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
And during the Revolutionary War, I can't remember the name of the British general who came running through the town and realized that he would not be coming back because there were mad as hornets there.
There you go.
So if you come to Charlotte anytime, you will see the Hornets symbol all over the place. The basketball teams cost the Hornets.
Oh, really?
But
so it's
on
like
the
a whole
police
thing.
cars, you'll see a picture or image of a hornet's nest. You'll
Wow.
see it all over town.
There you go. Because Girl Scouts are always nice. I always buy their cookies, but if I come across the Hornet's Nest Girl Scout cookies, I'll give them whatever money I have in my pocket because don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Leave me alone. I
have to stay away from the Thin Mints because I could eat 3 boxes if I got started on them.
Yeah, they're really something. But the other thing I love supporting is entrepreneurism. So anytime those kids, boys or girls, are out there in front of stores and stuff, hustling stuff, a lot of times I give them money. You know, the secret is just give them some money and just tell them to keep the cookies. That's the trick. Because then you're supporting entrepreneurism, you're supporting future entrepreneurs, and but you're also saving, the next 50 pounds of weight you'll put on. So there's that. Let's get into it. So give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
It as www.thedanielgroup.com.
There you go. And give us a 30,000 overview of your company and what you do there.
Okay, we focus, first of all, exclusively on customer service or customer experience consulting work for B2B companies. So we will do follow-ups by phone, by digital means, with randomly chosen customers to see how an experience went. Mm-hmm. Now, for us, most all of the clients we work with are selling generally expensive products that are very complex and have a long service tail. Say for example, you think about a D6 Caterpillar tractor, or you think about a Massey Ferguson tractor or a Fendt tractor that's sold by AGCO.
Hmm.
These things, they are used for many years, but they also have a lot of requirements for service and parts. So a manufacturer may have a fantastic product, but if there's not good support for that product, the customer is not nearly as likely to come back.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to do, is we want to help them improve that service so that customer keeps coming back and tells other people.
Definitely, because there's so much competition in the world. I mean, it used to be, I think, for example, Caterpillar used to be, the kind of dominant sort of force in the world, and then I think a lot of foreign competition came in, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest early competitor to Caterpillar was Komatsu, Japanese company, and they still are a very formidable competitor. But there are also lots of other brands out there now that are good, and I think part of the interest in improving CX, Chris, has come about because of that very thing. There's more engineering talent throughout the world. A lot of countries have learned how to make better products. So therefore, the level of competition at the product level has increased dramatically. But what customers want, if they're buying a product like that, they want a really great product at a good price, of course, but they also are looking at things saying, hey, I've got to make this thing work for me for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Who's there to make sure that it works? If it needs a part, if it needs service, whatever is needed. That's part of the driver behind the growing interest, I think, in CX among the B2B clients we work with.
There you go. I mean, you've got to stay in touch with them. So we'll round back to more of this, but let's talk about your upbringing. People like to hear about the folks we have on the show. How did you grow up? What influenced you? What got you on the road to starting your own company a lot of years ago? And why do you keep doing it already?
Interesting questions, Chris. First of all, I grew up on a small farm in eastern North Carolina. I loved that experience, and I'm finding as I've gotten older, I love it even more now, because I think there's some really good lessons you learn being on a farm. I think I also always wanted to have my own business. I think the reality of trying to be a farmer, I knew that was not something I wanted to do for all kinds of reasons, but just didn't want to do that.
It's a tough business.
It's a really tough business, and you got to have a lot of capital to make it work. So I always wanted my own business. Went to business school, worked with some big companies for a while. Did some other kind of consulting work, but in '89 went out on my own to just say, hey, I want to try this. And fortunately, it worked. And then in 2005, when we really started focusing on CX. We started with one Caterpillar dealer in South Carolina, and now, as you in your introduction noted, that we serve 80% of the cat dealers in North America.
Wow, that's pretty good.
So that's really how I got here. It's a lot of fun. I love what I do.
There you go.
I really do love what I do. I see people change their business for the better. Some of our clients that are really, really making a difference for their customers.
There you go. And it sounds like, I always talk to people, when I talk to entrepreneurs, I tell them, find something you love, because it can be draining being an entrepreneur. It's hard to deal with it 24/7. You live it, you breathe it. And man, if you don't love it, if you don't have a passion for it, sometimes it can get hard to show up every day, no matter how successful you are, no matter how much money you make. I made a lot of money and hated every company I own. It still makes it hard to go into work today. You're making as much in a month as what people make in a year, and you're still like, oh God, I got to go in there again. I mean, it really does make that much of a difference. So, I guess the answer to my question, why you're still doing it, is because you love it, and it's something you really enjoy.
It's like I visited a client last week in Pennsylvania, and to hear them talk about how they're using the information that we provide is just phenomenal. They talk about what they're seeing change in the way they go about doing their business. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a great respect they have for their customers, which they started with. But I think as they've gotten more feedback, they understand, well, these are some things we need to be able to change or need to change in order to better even serve our customers even better than what we normally do.
You used an interesting word there, respect our customers. Do you find that that's lost in today's world? One of the, you and I grew up kind of in the same era with the book by Tom Peters, In Search of Excellence, that kind of created this whole customer service revolution in the 80s, I think it was. And a lot of that just seems gone now, like entirely lost. What are your thoughts on that and respecting your customer?
Chris, I have some frustration around that myself, just personally, because I get solicitations all the time for some things for our business. Mm-hmm. And rare is it that I find a salesperson that seems effective at communicating what's in it for me.
Yeah, they're just pushing it, right?
They
just shove it in your face.
They shove it in my face. It's the end of the quarter. Man, we got a hot deal on whatever it is we got a hot deal on. And I look at it and I think, why in the heck would I even think about buying that?
Yeah. Even worse when they don't even qualify you. So I'll get emails for like, hey, do you want to buy steel, Chris, for your podcast? I'm like, why would I want to buy steel from China for my podcast? Like, do you know what I do? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I find that's a frustration, and that I have personally with the way a lot of business is done. The customer is just someone that is viewed as a mine that they can try to mine as much money out of as possible. Mm-hmm. Well, the reality is the customer is looking for a solution. Customers are willing to pay for good solutions. I mean, that's one of the things I've learned. They're very willing to pay for good solutions, but we're not respecting them enough to listen to them enough to figure out in what way can we provide a solution for you.
Yeah. And that's really the heart, correct me if I'm wrong, what your thoughts are, but that's really what an entrepreneur does. The entrepreneur usually goes out and finds that companies aren't servicing some sort of solution, whether it's a service or whether it's a product, and whatever they're servicing isn't good enough or it could be better. And they've overlooked, improving the widget to make it better. And so that's usually what entrepreneurs do. They come in and they serve the customer. Usually it's a self-serving thing where they go, I can build a better Ziploc bag. I can build a better paper clip. I can build a better, whatever. And I need it built better for me because an application that I want it for. And then they build it and they're like, hey, some other people might be interested in this too. And that's the real beauty of it. But I like the word you use, the respect for your customers, because it seems like a lot of that's really lost. I mean, why do you think we've broken down so much from, this customer service revolution we used to have? Is being online part of that, the loss of that in-person sales interaction?
I think one thing is and I spent some time as a salesperson, and I learned from some people that were really good. I'm not sure there is quite as many effective sales opportunities for a young person now as there was in the past. And for example, the first company I joined out of business school, if you're going to do anything with the company, you would start out at the bottom of the functional area in which you were interested. So I was interested in marketing, They said, okay, we're going to give you a sales territory in Florida. Okay, that's fine. But I learned how to deal with customers, even upset customers. And these were farmers, so they're a whole nother category of upset sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So you learn things about how people react, and it's a really good teaching opportunity. I'm not sure that we have as many of those kinds of opportunities, and I'm also not sure that we have as many effective coaches as we maybe used to have.
I don't know. We just said, when I was in sales, they just set us down and we watched Glenn Ross, that scene with the always be closing. Have you ever seen that scene?
Yes.
Yeah, that's such a great sales thing. That, and we watched, I think, it was in the car business, so we watched the used car movie with Kurt Russell, I think it was. But not the greatest of sales things, but it kind of got to the core. Always be closing. But yeah, I think a lot of what it is has been lost online. There are a lot of companies, a lot of tech companies, when they scaled, they make customer service the last thing ever. I saw this with Twitter early on, where they didn't care about customer service, and there had to be a community actually built of customers to tell other people how to deal with the issues of the product and teach them to use the product. And they just didn't care. And a lot of the Silicon Valley companies that have come out, they just don't care about customer service. And they just kind of put it off, and it's never become a real big value. I mean, try reaching anybody at Facebook to help you with anything, yet here they are, one of the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah.
At least with Apple, I think you can walk into an Apple store, but you've got to walk in. It's going to cost you some money.
Yeah.
But companies like the cable companies, where you'll spend an hour and a half on hold with them. There's you can't talk to a person anymore who knows what they're doing. Like they put, I swear to God, they just put, and people are nice, but they just put the I want to say the dumbest of dumb up front, but they're just people who just don't know anything about the product. They're just I don't know, pushing people in directions and answering, the most inane questions like, well, have you tried turning it on and off again? That sort of thing. And it's infuriating, because you try and, like, a lot of times I know what the problem is, and it's somewhere up in their software, but their attitude in a lot of these companies is, well, it must be the customers making a mistake first. And it's really irritating, because they're like, well, I have to go through this 20-page process of clearing all the issues that it's probably you before we can talk about, it's probably us. So I think a lot of that has just led to this degradation of customer service, and I guess people don't care. People have rolled over for it.
It's interesting. One thing that I've learned from the work we have done, and this is, you read about it in all kinds of articles about the how much customers, how many referrals they get. Well, I think one of the things that companies are not paying enough attention to is the power of a referral.
Yes.
And to cite some specific numbers, we've done some research among the customers that we interview. And in one market, it was ag customers. In another, it was construction equipment customers. But we're finding that a third to 40% of the people we talk to have given a referral in the last 6 months. We ask them, have you actually referred this dealer, in this case it's dealer, to someone else in the last 6 months? And depending on the market, 30 to 40% said, yes, we have. Mm-hmm. However, among that 30 to 40%, only, let me turn it around the other way. Over 90% of those referrals came from customers who gave a 9 or a 10 on the likelihood to recommend scale. So it was those customers that are really happy with their service experience and they felt good enough, as Fred Reicheld, the developer of MPS, talks about, to co-brand themselves and actually say, hey, you need to go see Chris Voss if you want to get this done for it and get it done right. So I think one of the things that marketers are not looking at enough is how much referral activity they have and how can they use it. Because what we're seeing, it's not being utilized much at all right now. It happens, people know it happens, but it's not being focused on as a strategic marketing issue like I think it should be.
Definitely. It's so it's the 9s or 10s values, the people that value it the most, that are most likely to give referrals then,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that's really interesting to know, because honestly, I get all these email surveys. I'm sure you do too, and people in the audience, but I get all these email servicings demanding, would you refer a company, blah, blah, blah. And would you, do a reference for us on, like, the app stores are really big on that. They go, would you do a 5-star review over here? And they're constantly begging for it. And it's actually made me more selective and dial back what I will say is great. Because a lot of times, sometimes I would say something is great and then later get burned. And, but it's interesting that the people who really appreciate your brand are the people that you really want to ask for those referrals and stuff. And listening is really important. Like, a lot of these surveys, I swear to God, because I'm a marketer, so I look at how they're designed and what they're talking about, and I'll see that they're built to just like hone in on a very certain focus, and sometimes they're worded to basically just be like, basically just be a hand job to management. They're kind of designed to either make the employee look bad, like, did you have a great interaction with our employee? Yeah, well, no, but your employee is not the problem. You're the problem, because you put this employee in an untenable position, and they're getting blamed for your idiot company, and so there'll be these kind of, I just call them like jerk off surveys, where they're just creating these surveys, I guess, in the boardroom, and they're like, we're going to do a survey so we know that we have great customer service, and then they have these narrow surveys that are manipulated to basically, when they go to the boardroom, they're like, oh, we're doing great here.
Well, maybe one of the worst things about that kind of survey, you'll get a score, but you don't get any understanding of why the customer gave you the score in the first place. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things we have learned is coupling some good question design with technology. We can help our clients, help them understand the customer gave you a 6. Mm-hmm. Well, what could have been, what did you like about the experience? Mm-hmm. What could have been better? Now, as a marketer, you appreciate, you're going to mention the first top 2 or 3 things that pop in your mind about what was either good about it or what was not so good about it. Mm-hmm. And those are the things that are the core things that our clients are starting to focus on, because they're trying to understand, okay, they gave me an 8, they gave me a 7, they gave me a 9, whatever they gave me, but why did they give me that score? Mm-hmm. I've got to understand the why behind that score if I'm going to begin to change my customer experience.
Yeah, or that I care or respect my customer.
Again, going back to respect. I mean, it's like I won't mention the brand, but I take my car in to get it serviced at this one particular place, and they're very huge. They're a huge dealership network. Mm-hmm. And they do a nice job, but every time I go, I walk out with the service writer. He takes me to the car and said, oh, by the way, Mr. Daniel, if you can't give me a 9 or a 10, let me know why. And on the survey that's going to come to you, or would you please write a Google review for me? Mm-hmm. And I said, thank you. I will consider it. And when I get the survey, I promptly trash it.
It's kind of I really feel bad about the employees that are part of that have to deal with that from management.
Yes.
It's an extortion sort of tactic, right?
Yes.
And you know, I feel like I was at Walmart one time, and there was like I didn't notice it. There was a very nice lady, and she was new, and she was checking me out with the checkout counter there. She wasn't checking me out. I'm not that hot, but she was checking me out, and she was kind of new. There was someone helping her, but she was really nice and friendly, and so. And, you know, I guess at Walmart, you're nice and friendly for the first week or two. Anyway, I'm just kidding. They're wonderful people at Walmart, except for the management who keep putting those self-serve installs in. I hate you people. In fact, that's why I order Walmart from home. But anyway, I got home and there was like this little note in my bag. And I was like, what the hell is a note in my bag? And it was like, it basically said, hi, I'm a new cashier at the Walmart. Please save me. No, it didn't say that. It said, I'm a new cashier. Can you please go online and rate my service and tell them how good I did? And I'm like, my God, I hold this woman's future in my hands where I feel bad if I don't go. I feel extorted bad. Like if I don't go do a review on her and say how wonderful she is, she may not get her job tomorrow. Right. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, if I, of course, maybe I thought she was bad, I can get her fired. Like, mm-hmm. This is not the power that I want to have in my hands as a customer, you know, or the guilt and extortion shame, right?
Well, the other thing about that whole scenario is, again, go back to respect. That they don't really respect the customer. They just want you to give them a number.
Yeah.
But because, again, they're not digging into the why you feel the way you do. And, mm-hmm. and I underline the word feel because one of the other things we've learned is emotional satisfaction. How you feel about something is far more powerful, by far, than any kind of rational satisfaction you will get from it.
And, you know, honestly, if you want to have better customer relationships, stop that extortion stuff. It's such a painful, it's almost as painful as those people now that every store you go to, no matter how low the level of service interaction is going to be, they ask for a tip. What do you think about that sort of business going on?
Well, I think it's unfortunate. And I think, again, what these companies are trying to do is they're trying to put some of the compensation responsibility back on customers, mm-hmm. and not owning up to the fact that maybe they need to pay their employees a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I do think it sort of goes a little over the top on occasions.
You know, I think you bring up a good point. They flipped the pyramid. So it used to be that in my world, and it still is, in my world, customer service flows from the top. The leader mm-hmm. on the white horse, the man who is a CEO or a woman who's a CEO sets the standard for the morality ethics of the corporation on down. And so it trickles down through that pyramid, but it has to begin at the top. And that leadership has to be there. That leadership has to care. You know, I see top CEOs going out and meeting with customers. I see them going out and meeting with the front line. I was watching the CEO of HP Hewlett Packard the other day, and how he spends his day. And he spends his day literally going around, walking and listening for the most part, mm-hmm. Meeting with customers. He meets with people at the front line, and he listens. He shut ups and listens. He's not like me who just stands on a soapbox and barks at people. And so it's kind of like a daily listening tour that he does, which is really interesting because he's trying to get out of his ivory tower bubble and get on the ground and find out what's going on. But that has to trickle down through the things. And if people work for a company that leads them, that puts customer service first, that it's the blood of the company that circulates, mm-hmm. they pick up on it and they go, okay, this is what, there's training, of course, that goes into that. But they pick up on it and they go, this is how our company operates. For a mm-hmm. long time, Nordstrom kind of had that crazy reputation where they take tires for return and, you can return almost anything there. There's companies that, have that reputation of doing the right thing. None of them are cable companies, weirdly. Anyway, so I think you're right. They flipped the pyramid to where they're putting all the onus instead of on the CEO and the management and the leadership of the company on basically like, well, let's let the customer drive it. And that way we don't have to deal with all this customer service stuff. We'll just let the customers in the front line negotiate it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Unfortunately, I see that a little too often in terms of the top management not getting as involved as I'd like to see. But then I see some situations where the senior people do get involved, and it has an amazing positive impact on the organization. Because one of the things we have also learned is if you don't have that clear definition of where CX fits into your strategy, it's not going to work. And that definition has to come from the senior level people in the company saying, this is one of our top 3, 4, 5 priorities. I was meeting with a new CEO of one of our clients, large material handling company, and he said that, we have 3 priorities here this year, and one of them is CX. We are going to deliver great customer experience. And he's out talking to people. He's putting pictures on social media about where he's out visiting techs and other people. And my guess is they're going to lay the groundwork. He's going to lay the groundwork with he and his senior team for seeing some remarkable changes and improvements in their CX performance.
There you go. That should be awesome. So let's get into what your company does. We want to delve into what I can see on your website here. Tell us about your company. You got a lot of employees. You've got a lot of different services you offer. Tell us what you guys offer to your customers.
Sure. Our primary service is what we call our Experience Connect program, and it's a follow-up program where we do phone, email, text surveys to randomly chosen customers. We have a platform that our clients can access their results so they can see as soon as the survey is completed. If it's a phone survey, they will see the written results. They'll also hear a audio, or can listen to an audio recording. And we work throughout North America. Again, it's B2B focused, strictly. We think we know that market pretty well, and we want to stay in that market because for us, there's lots of opportunity there. We support right now 3 languages, French, Spanish, and English. We'll probably be adding Portuguese if things pan out over the next year. But anyway, that's really what we do. We also offer market research project work. So, for example, many of our clients, they start working with us on the Experience Connect side, and they want to get some, say, more specific knowledge about a market area, a particular issue they want to understand. We would do that kind of work. And then really the third leg of what we do is training. We've just moved into that pretty heavily this past year because our clients were asking us, we want some practical training for our people at the executive level, at the lower management level, and especially at the frontline worker level.
Most definitely. Training is really where it's all about. If you train well, you're going to do well. But yeah, I wish they'd get rid of all that. I think I just feel so betrayed and so extorted when the poor employee has to sit there and beg me for, can you give me a good review? And you're just like, you feel so guilty because you're like, if I don't give him a good review, does Johnny lose his job tomorrow and his kids, are going to be on the street? Like, what the It's like it's an extortion tactic. That's what it really is. It's guilt and extortion. What a horrible way to run anything.
Well, the other thing to be said about that, I think, is they are taking advantage, I think, of the employees for sure.
Yeah.
But the other thing is there's such a strong connection between employee experience and customer experience. Ultimately, that's going to backfire on you.
Yeah.
Because the employees are going to say, hey, I know this game, and I may participate, but let's say my participation is not going to be honest participation.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. What else do people know about their companies? What sort of clients do you look for or qualify to work with you? Is there a certain size of company you need to have, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, generally, again, within that B2B space, most of our clients are in the range of small would probably be 600 million in revenue
Hmm.
up to, I guess our largest client right now, OEM, they're about 9, 10 billion in revenue.
Wow.
So we work with, and there's a variety within that, but generally 750, I should say, revenue, 750 million up to several billion in revenue.
There you go.
That's a sweet spot for us.
And how can people reach out to you to potentially onboard or inquire to see if you guys are a fit together?
Our website, of course, www.thedanielgroup.com. Always give me a call at 704-607-0182 or Lynn Daniel at thedanielgroup.com.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, Lynn, for coming on the show. I'm glad we chopped it up, and hopefully we can spread some shame on companies that need better customer service, damn it. Now, if we could just get those cable companies on board, that would be great. And
Thanks, Chris.
yeah. Anytime you're leaving your customers on hold for an hour and a half when you have plenty of money to answer calls, give me a break. Thanks, Lynn, for being on the show. Thanks, Mara, for tuning in. As always, for the show, your family, friends, and relatives, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss won the TikTok and all those crazy places on the internet. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.